Hello everyone, welcome to the next session of SAP Security. In this session we will be talking about Central User Administration CUA. Central User Administration is a feature in SAP that will help you to streamline the multiple user account management. For example, if you are creating users in multiple systems, the same users in multiple systems, then the CUA is the solution. Instead of duplicating these jobs, using CUA you can manage the multiple system user administration from a single system. That is the advantage of Central User Administration, that you can centrally administrate the user management for each system connected to this CUA. That means user administration is done in one central system, which is called parent system. Then you will connect all the different system to that specific system, which is called child system. Then all the foreign systems which is connected to this system will be managed from the central system. For this CUA data exchange, SAP uses ALE, which is called Application Link Enable, to transfer the data. ALE is a technology that allows to distribute the data in asynchronous business processing. This helps to eliminate any errors in the user master data when you are creating the same user in multiple systems. Depending on your configuration of the CUA, you can also manage the user locking or role management, adding role and removing role, or entire your employee user management cycle. You can do it from the CUA. Moreover, if you see in a complex system landscape or which has multiple systems and clients, administrators spend quite a lot of efforts in the user master data maintenance. It's actually quite high if you do it manually. Let's say employee joining in a company and they will leave the company, or let's say they change the job position, then you need to change the roles based on their job positions, or individual user who need various different type of access. Let's say you have SAP R3 system, BW system and CRM system, APO system. Like this you have quite number of system, as well as each system will have test system as well as training systems, and you need to replicate this user master in quite many systems in a complex scenarios. So the administrators spend quite a lot of efforts in this user administration. Using CUA, using Central User Administration, you can reduce lot of administrative efforts in user administration of SAP system. This is a decentralized user administration scenario. For example, we have three different SAP products, for example ECC or CRM or BIBO. Each landscape we have a simple landscape which is have development and quality and production, which is normally most of the case, and let's say each system have different clients. Then you need to replicate this user administration each system. For example, I have a user, let's say I have a support users which is supporting all these systems. Then I need to create every time for each client, I need to create a user for this particular user. I need to create a SAP user for this particular user. The same case like business users as well. Most of the business users will use almost all the systems, all the productive system and client, as well as the quality systems. Like if it is, let's assume that if it is a super user, for sure they will be using quality systems. Normal, many of the users also will be using quality system to test some scenarios. Or we may also have some training system. In this type of cases, the efforts in decentralized user administration will be quite high. Let's say when we are creating a new client in any of this specific system which we are talking about, we already seen that we can also copy the user master as well as the roles from the specific client to the new client during the client copy process. However, we cannot copy a set of user master from one client to another client. By using Central User Administrator, you can send the user master data through ALE to the different clients very easily. That is also one of the advantage in centralized user administration. Okay, let's say this is an architecture of a central user administration landscape. So you have a CUA central client, which is called the parent client, which has all the user master record in this landscape. However, you can define in this system which is the user which present in which system and what individual role to be assigned in each system. That means you have the user master centrally available in CUA, but you can define it here. For example, the CRM quality system, what should be the role should be assigned in this system, that you can define it here. You can centrally assign each system and each client what role it should be assigned and what is the user which should be available on each system. That is the main advantage of central user administration. Now maybe you may have a question in your mind whether this user will be available in all system. We can define which system that user should be allowed to log in. Even though it is centrally managed and it is connected to all the system, you can define which specific system and which client this user should be allowed to log in. This does not mean that each change of user should be managed from the CUA. Let's say we wanted to have a distributed user administration process, you can still have the user administrator created from here, and the element of the user administration, some portion of the user administration, this needs to be done by local administrator of each system or each client. This also can be configured. That let's say you create the central user in one system, but you wanted to assign the roles or modify some portion of your user administration by a local administrator. This also we can configure in the user administration. Okay. As we already seen, the data distribution between the parent and the child systems are by ALE. ALE means application link enabling, and this permits to build an operation which can distribute data between two different SAP systems, and this will be an asynchronous communication. As we seen, from the central system to the child system we can use ALE. Central means your parent system where you have the master data, and the child system means all the SAP system and the clients which is connected to the central system. Using ALE or CUA, these are all the data we can distribute using central user administration. First one is user master data, such as address, logon data, or user default, user parameters. These are all we can distribute using central user administration. Second one is the assignment of the user roles or profile in each child system. We can manage using the CUA. The advantage of administrating and assigning the centrally, you no longer need to log on to each system in order to make a system specific assignment of a role or a profile. It is managed in one central system, so you don't need to log into each system to manage each user or to manage or assign each roles. The next one is the initial password. The initial password also you can distribute to all system. That means one initial password which will be distributed to all systems. This also again reduce quite a lot of efforts. You don't need to recreate or create passwords for each system individually. This distribution of the password also in a code format, that means the protected secure way of transferring the data between the SAP system. The next one is user log status. Let's say in addition to the user logon, when the user is log on, you have incorrect logon, the user gets logged. More than that, like global locking or local locking on the child system can be administered using CUA. So you do not need to log into the child system. However, as I said in the previous slides, that we can configure this type of activity whether you wanted to manage it centrally or you wanted to manage it locally by the specific local user administrator. Having said that, I need to make one more point very clear. The user assignment of role only you can do it centrally. That does not mean that roles and authorization data is which we can centrally manage it. No, the authorization data or user profile, the authorization data, that means the role modification, everything that we need to transport to the systems using the transport request or whatever the means of we select the transport, that will not be transferred using the CUA. That means you need to centrally manage the user administration and the role assignment, but the authorization data, role development, needs to be transported. That you need to transport it so that this can be different from each system. However, we can assign the roles to the user master using the CUA. Next, let's see how to set up an ALE. So before we start getting into how to set up an ALE, we need to understand the terms which we use in ALE setup. The first one is logical system assigned to the client. So logical system means each client in your SAP system has a logical name that we can get it from our client setting. So for this, let's go to our system. To find the logical system name, you go to the client settings, that is using transaction code SCC4. Say enter. Then you will come to client overview, and if you select the client, select and say display, then you can see logical system name. So this is the logical system name. This is says GRC CLN 800. This is the logical system name. Or if you select another client, then it will have a different logical system name. It says T90 CLNT 810. So this is the logical system name for this specific client. To see the transaction code we used for this is SCC4. This is client administration. You can select here and you can also change this one. Let's say if you wanted to change this logical name, you can select the client and go to change mode. Yes. Then you double click and it will come to the change mode. Here you can define the logical system name. To create this logical system, you need to create in the ALE setup. So for example, if you want to create a logical system, you go to /n SALE. Then you select basic settings, then you go to logical system. Here you can say define logical system. So if you wanted to assign a logical name on the SCC4, first you go here and say define a logical system. Say okay, this is a cross client setting. So here we say new entry, then you can create the logical system and some name. Okay, right now the clients what we have seen, these are all the logical system names which is created. Let's come back. So we have seen what is the logical system and how the logical system is assigned to the client. So each child system should be identified using a logical system name. That is, a unique identifier for each client in a respective system should be created, should be assigned to the specific client. So that will be assigned using SCC4. Logical system will be created using the transaction SALE. So the communication between one logical system to another logical system, that means one specific client to the different specific client. In our case, our central system to the child system. That communication between these two logical systems will happen using RFC connections. We already know what is RFC connection, how to create an RFC connection. The RFC connection is created using the transaction code SM59, and we will also use the same type of RFC, that is the ABAP RFC. The RFC connection in CUA, that you need a RFC connection from the parent system to the child system, that means the central system to the child system, as well as one RFC connection back from child system to the central system. Then let's come to ALE distribution model. So we understood what is logical system, then we understood what is RFC. Then next one is using this RFC what we have created from the central system to each child system, then we can create ALE distribution model. In some of the cases you may have already an ALE distribution model defined, so you may not go to logical system and create all these things. It may be already there if you are using ALE distribution model for different business scenarios. So in the ALE distribution model you can define how to distribute this data. There is a transaction code called BD64. In the BD64 we can define the distribution model for this CUA. So let's go to the system and see how to define an distribution model. Go to transaction BD64. Here if you see, you have the distribution model. These are all the existing distribution model. We can create additional distribution model for our CUA using this create new model view. That we will do it during our setup of CUA. See, if you see, these are all some distribution model created for different reasons, and which defines what is the central system, what is the productive system which will receive this particular ALE distribution model. So after this setup, what you need to do is you need to set up a central user administrator. The transaction code for this one is SCUA. In SCUA you can enable the central user administration, and you can define the parent system as well as the child system. Then the next one transaction code is SCUM, user distribution field selection. This is very important. We have seen that we can define what is the actual data which we would like to transfer. Let's see in our system how to use this transaction code SCUA. If you go to the system and type in the transaction code SCUA. Okay, right now we do not have any CUA setup in our system. Here you can create a model view, and or you can, so right now we do not have a model view. You create a model view. For example, let me, for example, security training 01. When you say create, here you can define the child systems. Then you will have a, this is will be your model view, this will be your sending system, and you will put the child systems here. Then let's go to the next one. The next transaction code is again quite important. As we discussed before, that we can customize what all the data we wanted to transfer from our central system to the child system. So user distribution field selection, using this transaction code SCUM, you can define each attribute of the user master, which one you wanted to manage globally or which one you wanted to manage locally. So each of the tab, let's say this looks like, for example, your same SU01 setting. Let's go to the system, go to the transaction SCUM. Okay, right now we did not set up this CUA since we cannot go to the transaction. However, we will see that once we set up our CUA. So using this transaction, you can see each tab almost same like our SU01. We can define what can be defined centrally or what can be defined globally. The next one is integration of existing system. Maybe already you have it in your mind what happens if it's an old system which has the user master in different clients separately. Then what we will do, how do we centralize this one? Yes, it is possible in CUA setting where there is a possibility we can manage this kind of setup using CUA during the setup. First of all, let's say if it is a new client, then this is not a big problem. If it's a new client which does not have any user master data, then you can very easily implement CUA in the initial stage. Then we can implement CUA very easily. Let's say in the initial stage, when we are in the implementation stage, we decided okay, we wanted to have CUA, then we can easily implement CUA. Then you start managing the user from one system. Then as soon as a new system comes in, then you can keep adding the system. Then it's quite easy to do this. That is again for us to think that in a new SAP implementation, if we decide that we are going to use CUA, then we need to decide it so early, then it will be quite easy for us to manage the entire landscape, because we can simply add this CUA easily and we will not have any complications. In the older system or existing system, then let's say the CUA, central user administration, is installed later time after you have user master or decentralized user administration. The existing user of the infrastructure must be copied to the central system. This process, what we call is migration. User is identified in the child system and this will be copied to the central system and adjusted accordingly. The role which is already developed and assigned to the old system should also be identified, and we need to identify these roles and need to be copied to the central system, and we need to assign in the central system. Then only this will be effective to the role users after we migrate the entire users. So this also we can actually copy the role assignment from the old system to the central system during our migration process. However, as we discuss the profiles and roles of the old system still should exist in the old system, that we cannot manage it using the CUA that we already seen. So the roles and profile should exist in the old system. Copying user master data. For this we will be using a transaction code called SCUG. So using this transaction code, all the existing user master records are migrated to the central system. So SCUG will be executed in the central system. This process, what we call is migration. This process, this SCUG, this migration process should be done for each child system. During the migration process, the users are identified using their logon name, also with combination of first name and last name. Also we can compare it like that. If the identified users which is available in the child system is not available in central system, then this will be it will create a new user in the central system. Let's say if we have a user which is already exists in the central system, so based on the first name and last name combination, so we need to identify these users, and otherwise we need to create a new user ID, one of these users, or meaning to say that we need to reconcile this type of inconsistency if at all it exists. Next one is central user maintenance. After activating CUA, that means central user administration, the appearance of SU01 will change. For example, your role assignment will have an additional field called system. System is the logical system name which we define in our CUA, which we will be defining in our CUA. So in this role as well as the profile, you will have an additional field called system to identify what is the specific role available for this user. That means you can select the system so this specific user can have different roles in different systems, right? So you will have column where you can specify the system and the role name for the specific user to the particular client. And also you can see in SU Seuron there is something called text compare. The text compare means that it will compare the roles as well as the profiles. Before we said the roles are not managed centrally, the central system does not need to have the same role to be imported in the system. However, for CUA it needs to know what is the role which is available in the child systems, right? So we need to have the identification of this role. That does not mean the entire authorizations inside the role. So the CUA will store the role name or the technical role name and the description of this role as well as the profile names in the central system. So using the test compare, you can synchronize the child system's roles and profile details, meaning to say it will import all the roles as well as the profiles, only the role names and the text as well as the profile names. It will not import the content of the roles, and it will import these roles. That means it will extract this information and keep it in the CUA so that you will be able to assign these roles. The meaning to say that roles as well as the profiles will be different from individual clients. So once using the test compare, you will extract all this data and put it in our CUA. That means when you assign the role, specific role, then you know, okay, this is the role which is available in the system, then which can be assigned to this user. We will set up a CUA in this landscape. Our central system will be the system PRD, client 810. We have two child system, PRD 811 and 812. This is our CUA setup. We will start from beginning how to set up a CUA in our system. Okay, let's set up the CUA in our SAP system. So in order to set up a CUA, first we need to prepare the steps, what we are going to do. This is very important that you prepare the steps so that it will be very easy to continue the setup. The first what we need is SAP landscape and single system with multiple clients. That's what we already have, our system landscape. Then access to SAP T codes. These are all the SU01, all these T codes. Then we need to create system user in central system and all the client system. We will do that, and create RFC connections between the system, create logical system and assign logical system to corresponding client, and we will create the model view. Then we will also add the BAPI to the model view, and we will generate the partner profile and distribution module, and we will create the CUA and distribution module. Then we will maintain the parameters between the client and the child systems. To start with, what we will do is we will also prepare a small document so that we can document everything what we are doing to make it quite handy. So we will maintain everything in a notepad, which is quite easy. This is our central system, our child system. This is going to be our child system. Okay, and let's document our procedures. Okay, these are all the steps which we will be doing. So the first one, system landscape and single system with multiple clients, we have. This is our system landscape, this is our central system, and let's copy this and put it here. This is the central system and the child system. Okay, then access to SAP and T codes in all systems, meaning I have access to the transaction code. So let's log into the system first. So let's log into all these clients. Our first central system is 810. Security trainer. Okay, it's fine. Then let me log into the next client. (811) is our first child system. Okay, then the second child system, that is 812. Okay, this is fine. Now what we need to do is we need to, let's assume I have access to all this transaction code since I have SAP all in all the system. Then let's say create system user in the central and child system. So we need to create a system user. So the system user name, what we will do, we will say for this each of this one, so we will have a naming convention CUA underscore, let's say PRD 810. Sorry, 810. This will be our naming convention. See, this naming convention is quite important. So once you use the proper naming convention, you know for what you are using these users, especially this kind of background users and system users. So from this naming convention I know, okay, this is a CEO user, then it will be a system user which is used for CUA, which is quite easy to identify. So please have a proper naming convention, then it will be quite easy for you in the future that whenever you see these kind of users. Okay, let's create this first user in the central system. So let's go here. The central system is our 810. Go to SU01. And say create SAP security CUA system user. Okay, I will give a password. Okay, now I have a password. Now the question comes, what role we will assign to this user. Okay, the roles which we will be assigning to the user will be 3 different roles. this is CUA standard roles. You need to take a note of these roles. The first role will be for the central system. You need to have these roles: SAP underscore SAP underscore BC underscore USR underscore CUA underscore central. So this is our first role, and we will also have another CUA role, that SAP BC user underscore central underscore BDIST. This is the next role. The third role is underscore EXTERN. So these three roles are necessary in the central system. So this is a standard delivered role from SAP. So let me go to PFCG and check what is the role status, because this is a new system. And as we discussed before, please copy the role to your namespace and do the modification. Since this is a demo system, I'm just using the SAP standard roles as it is. So create the profile and generate, and let me assign the role to this user also as well, which we already created. So this specific role is authorization for RFC service in CUA central system, and we have one more role. This is an RFC service for CUA central system back, that means to receive. So the second role also we will assign to this user. Okay, then the third role, this is for RFC central extension. Then the third role, this also SAP underscore BC underscore user CUA underscore external. Let's this one external. For external user, let's go to authorization, change. Actually there's a small mistake here. Seems this role does not have any authorization object. Let me check this. This client, okay, setup central. Okay, this has this is the third role. So let me change this, setup central. Okay, this is the third authorization which we required. Okay, this also I will assign to this user. Okay, so we created the first user in the central system. Let's create the second user in the child system, 811. For the child system, and this will be the role which we will be using for the child system. let's go to the child system 811, go to SU01, create this user, security CUA system user. Let me put a password. So let's go to the first role, go to /npfcg. This is our first role, SAP_BC_user_CUA_client. Please remember, you need to copy this to your namespace or custom namespace, then do the changes. For testing we are just using this one. Okay, we already generated this one. Let's assign to this user CUA. Okay, save. Oops. Let's do a user compare. And the second this also already profile is created. We need to assign the user. Okay, we assign the user. Okay, that means this client is finished. Let's go to the 812 SU01. This is a CUA tool. This is a user, SAP security CUA system user. Let me put a password. Save. Then let's go to PFCG. This already generated. Let's assign to this user. Sorry, this one. Okay, then the second role. Okay, so right now we created 3 system user. We did some mistake there. We did not change this as a system user. So let's go back and change all these users as system users. Change logon data should be system user. Go to 811 /NSU01. Change it to system user. Then 810 system user. Okay, now we changed all the 3 user as system user. Our next step is to create RFC connection between the system. Okay, first what we need is we need 2 RFC connection from 810 to 811 and 812. So what we do is we will have RFC, or let's say PRD CLN 811 and PRDCLNT 812. So we will have two RFCs. These two RFC from this system going from here to here, meaning let's say go here, session SM59. Okay, so this RFC is coming from (810) to 811. Okay, this is again 810 to 812. I think now it is clear. Let's create two RFCs. Okay, this is my RFC name, and this is an ABAP connection. This is for CUA client RFC. Don't use load balance. My host name is, I will use the IP address, that is 192.168.1.52, system number 00. So this IP address, so the client is 811 and the user which we will be using in the client is CUA underscore PRD 811, and I'll put the password. Okay, save. Now you say test connection, so it's working. Okay, the one connection is done. Then we need to have one more connection. Create, say 3 CUA client connection to 812 192.168.1.52 is my IP address, 100, and next client is 812 and the user in 812 is this one, and password. Okay, I put the password. Now save. Okay, let me test this also. Okay, this also working. So if you see, if you go to the ABAP connection, our here our both the RFCs are here. Okay, now what we need is, we need one RFC back. So we need to have one more RFC. What it will do is 811 and 812 coming back to 810. Okay, now let me log into 811. Go to /su/n/SM59. So let me create the new RFC. This RFC name will be 810. 810 CUA central system 2.168.1.52 system name 00 client 810 and the user is 811. Save. Okay, now here you do not need to create it twice, because anyway this is a, whenever you create an RFC, it is again available for all the clients, because let's say you go to 812 and try to create again /n SM59 create, and let's say 3, say destination is already created, we are in client 812. the reason is this is a cross client data, so it's available in all the clients. If you go to 812, if you see above, there is PRD, yeah, we have all three CUAs, all three RFCs which we created, so we don't need to create twice. So if it is a different system, then you need to create it back in all the system. Okay, now we have created the RFCs. Now let's create logical system. So logical system also we will use the same name like this. Okay, how do we create the logical system? We already seen that. Let's go to SALE, basis logical system, define logical system. You are not allowed to change the cross client customizing. So what I will do is I will go to client 800, our main client, where we can do our customizing. Go here, we'll go to the transaction SALE, to basic setting, logistics system, define logical system. Here you will create 3 logical system. First system is this one. This is CUA, PRD, central. Then second one is CUA, PRD, client. The third one is CUA, PRD, client 2. Okay, so we create 3 logical system. Let's save. We'll ask you to create a TIA. Let's create a TIA. BC logical system for CUA. Okay, now we created 3 logical systems. Let's copy this and put it in our document. Then now we need to assign the logical system to corresponding client. So for that we can directly assign it here. This again anyway cross client information. This again takes you to the SCC4. Either you come through this one, otherwise you type in SCC4, then it will come here. Then select this, just double click. Now the logical system is some another name. I will put it to PRD. Okay, and save. Okay, now the data is saved. Go to the next client. 811 logical, this one. Be careful when you are changing logical system, because this will have a huge impact. As I said, when you change this logical system, you need to check whether you have an existing ALE setup. So simply don't go and create a new logical system. This can have a big impact. Yeah, so be careful when you are doing this. So the existing ALE setup should not be affected. So if you already have the ALE already set up, then it is recommended you use the existing logical system and their assignments. You don't need to create one. So now we assign all the logical system to the clients. Okay, now that's also we have done. Then now we need to create a model view. To create the model view, let's go to our system. Yeah, let's go to 810. Then go to the transaction code BD64. Let's go to change mode. Create model view. So let's give, let's say, model view for central user administration. Okay, let's give some technical name. Let's say reset CUA underscore user. Okay, so this is our technical name. Let's keep this one. This is our text. Okay, now we created this one. Our next step is to add BAPI to the model view. So to add the BAPI, you select the model view and say add BAPI. Okay, here we need to specify the source client and the receiving client. So the source client is, we already know, this is our source client and this is our receiving client. Okay, the object name, this will be user. If we go US, yeah, here R3 user. Then the method will be clone, user clone. Yeah, this is for CUA distribute user with ALE IDOC. Okay, okay, like this and say continue. Then we have created a BAPI and we need to, if you see, this is the central system, this is the client. if you wanted to add additional BAPI, same model, add one more, user and clone. So we added two clients. So this is a central system, this is client 1 and client 2. So we created the BAPI model. Can we copy this? Okay, perhaps we should put it in a Word, then we can put the screenshot to have the proper documentation. Okay, done. Okay, next is generate parameter profile and distribute the model view. So once you have created the model view and added body, you need to generate this setup and we need to distribute this model view to all the clients. Right now we are in 8.1.0, so this needs to be generated and distributed. So to generate the partner profile, you select the model view, select this and go to environment and generate partner profile. The model view is CUA user and say execute. Then you got log for parameter generation, distribution model. No message has been defined for the selection condition in this model. Now we have generated and distributed. We can go back, say if we need to distribute the model view, then we can go to edit model view and we can say distribute, then it will distribute this model view. First we need to save it, yes, okay, then we go to edit model view and distribute. Now this will distribute this model view. Yeah, this is the ones which we need to distribute. Say distribute. So we have an issue here, RFC destination for synchronization communication message type sync, the parameter ls does not exist. Generate partner or the destination communication message, the partner profile ls sync does not exist. Create the partner profile or specify outbound partner profile for message type. Okay, this looks new. Let's see what is the issue. We need to environment and generate it again. Okay, now we got an partner 810. The partner has been created. It has been created. Error during insert in post table. Okay, then the error during inserting in port table. Port could not be created. RFC destination has been created. Here 812 seems to be fine. 811 have an issue. Okay, let's see, and let's go back and try to distribute again. Model view and distribute. Okay, 812 is fine, but 811 is still have a problem. Let's go and check what is the problem with 811. Both are same. So now we need to fix this issue before we move on, because the distribution model is very important. Let's try to fix it. Edit, distribute again, 811. We can also check the issue when we can go to the transaction code WE20 /n WE20. Then we can check the logical partner profiles. Here is only partner profiles are created. The one which we are trying is actually creating by automatic, but seems to be some problem. 811, 812 created properly, and 811 did not have message types, so that is a problem. So we create one more session, go to BD64, change. Let's try to distribute it one more time. Nope, does not goes. Okay, now it seems to be it's already created. System partner profile exists, RFC is been created. Perhaps the reason why we had an issue that the distribution of ALE, it has to transfer the data from one system to another system. It took some time, so we are quite fast to check this one, so that could be the reason. Right now seems to be fine. So if you see the partners, everything is exist. So you need to get this screen. When you get this, everything okay, partners, system already exist, and the port is already created, and the outbound parameters, everything is fine. It should be white, everything is should be white, then it is fine. So now we created the distribution model, and we also generated the profile. Done. So lesson learned from this one, that we need to wait little bit. Basically we did not do anything much. So if I go to the transaction code which we were trying before, the WE20, what says logical system 811 and 812. If you see, both of them is already created. So it's a matter of time. We need to just wait little time, because the data transfer, IDOC data transfer, took little more time. Okay, now we need to create CUA distribution model. Let's go to the system. So we already seen, to create the CUA we can use the transaction called SCUA. Let's type in SCUA. Now we need to create the landscape, CUA landscape. So for this we will assign a name. Let's give the same name as our ALD model. set underscore CUA underscore user. Let's say create. Okay, this is our model view and this is our sending client. So we are in the client 01. The receiving client is two clients, the PRD CLNT 811 and 812. There is two clients will be the receiving client. Okay, and it gives all details. This system is PRD, the client, which is the client, and the RFC status is fine, and the base is support pack. This also quite important because there may be some changes between support packs. If there is an update, then you will have consistency between all the system. Now let's say save the selected system. Now we are trying to connect to the client 811. If it is a dialog user, then it will log in automatically and do the configuration. Since this is a system user, we need to log in here manually. Okay, now it created the CUA setup. Now you should get all this thing green, then the CUA is done correctly. If you see the central system activating central user administration, yearly distribution module was saved, central user administration activated, test comparison was started, the child system yearly distribution was saved, central user administration activated, test comparison started. All this activity, so all this activity should be green. If we get like this, then all the CUA setup is completed correctly. Okay, so if you go to display mode, then you can see everything status is correct. Now the next step what we will be doing is we will maintain the parameters between the system, central and the client system. This also we have done. SUCA SCUA is done. The next step is maintaining parameter between central and the client system. We already seen what is the use of maintenance of parameters. Let's go to the transaction SCUM. So here this is our model view. This is what we have created. So everything seems to be address is maintained centrally, logon data centrally, parameter central, everything is centrally maintained. Okay, so let's try to create a user. This is the client 810. So if you go to SU01, I'm going to create a user security student B. Yeah, so I'll say create CUA user student B. This one, say if I go to the roles, now if you need to put an initial password, Now if you go to, I already put an initial password. Now if you go to the systems, the systems is an additional tab which we never used to have it before. So if you go to client 800, then you don't feed the system, because our client 800 is not connected to our CUA. If you go to 800, you cannot find the system here. So you have in between parameter and roles, you have a system. So in the system, what we can define is, we can specify which system this user needs to be created. Let's say I will select only 811. Okay, select this. So I already specified a initial password, and I will say save. Now the student B is saved. Okay, let me try to log in. Right now I am in 810. Let me log into 811. I'll go to 811. This is the user which we created, security student B, and let me put the password, initial password, so we can log in. Yeah. Anyway, this user does not have any authorization. We did not assign any roles, but the same user will not be available in the next client. Let's say the same client 810, where we created the user, if we log in, you cannot log on. CUA assignment is missing, so we cannot log on here because there is no CUA assignment. If let's say after some time you decided that you wanted to have this user in the client or in the system 810, either it's a different system or a different client, if you wanted to have it here also, we will say select this also. I'll say add. Okay, now this was an existing client, this is a new client. I will say save. Okay, now I will log into the 810 which we assigned just now. I go to 810. Okay, I put my initial password which I gave it previously. 2, 3. So right now I am logging into the client 810 with the user student B. So it's very easy. If you see, you have to just go and simply select the system and extend to that specific system. Okay, this is systems to create the user master. Then let's go to the roles. If you go to the roles, you can see an additional tab called system. Then you also got this text comparison for child system. Okay, first let's talk about this additional system. So let's say if we wanted to have different roles in these two different systems, then we can have this here. Okay, let's assign a role. Let's assign a role in this client 810, because we already copied some of the roles which we created in 800 to this client. If you remember, for this role download upload we did something. Let's try to find that. Okay, This was one of the role which we created. Let's assign this. The role EZPM warranty master does not exist in the client 810, but I'm not sure because we know this was what we created before. So let's create a session. PFCG. This was the role. This role is already exist. The client is again client 810, but here it says it is not available. The reason is that we already seen there is something called text compare. So you need to get all the role information, put it in the CUA, so that the CUA is aware of what are all the roles available in each system and each client. So let's do a test comparison from child system. Here you need to define what are all the child system you wanted to import. Okay, maybe you are surprised why this 810 also there in the child system. This also considers a child system because you are going to distribute the user master to this client as well. So you need to have all the roles from this client as well to the CUA. So you need to have all the child system defined here, including the central system. Then say execute. Here let's key in the user ID. This pop-up should not come if, let's say, we created this as a communication user, then it will not ask you to pop up this message. I think we created this as a system user. That's the reason we are it's asking it couldn't log in automatically. So it says all the systems are okay. Text comparison completed successfully. Client license data maintenance is possible. Okay, that's fine. So it says that. So let's try to assign it now. Go to 810. This is the role which you are trying to assign. Okay, now we can assign this role. Like this you can add additional roles as many as required. Okay, system. Let's try to assign another role. These are all these ones, and 811. Do we have any set roles there? Let's check. Yeah, there is some roles which belongs to that specific client. Okay, different roles assigned. So we have roles for individual client now. So let's save this. So if I go to 811, then it will have different roles. Here we have a different roles. Okay, then go to 811. This does not have authorization. Let's go to X. I will log into the client 811 using the trainer user. Go to SU01. Look into this user. This is the same user which was created from there. If you see the roles, it has only the two roles which we assigned for this specific clients. Yeah. Can we change something here? No. If you go to change mode, still it's all grayed out. You cannot do any changes because it's centrally managed. Okay, so let me go back to client 810. Okay, now let's say I wanted to reset my password in 811. I don't want to reset the password in this client 81810. Okay, in that case I will simply say change password, then you select the specific client, then you can change the password for this particular client. So if I wanted to extend this one, so let's say select this, and 811 I wanted to change it to a new password. So I changed and save. Okay, so if I go to 811, the same user ID, okay, I reset the password, I can change the password as I require. Okay, so this is the way we can manage the CUA. Now we will see how to see the log of the distribution of this ALE, because you may find a lot of times that you do some changes but it is not reached to the client system. In that time you need to check the log of this ALE. Our user SEC student B, if you go to environment and you have something called distribution log, click that, then you can select based on the user or specific date. Anyway, we created only one user, and select the distribution status, event successful, then we know, and say execute. Now say student B. Here you can see the student B is been executed. So for this is a recipient, there is no red mark here, so everything seems to be fine. Like this you can see the distribution of this ALE. Okay, if you click this IDOC document, then you will be able to see the IDOC itself. What is the IDOC? Then the data. What was the data? So like if you know how does the IDOC works, then you can see this in detail. What is the information which is been transferred. As far as we are concerned, if there is no red mark, everything is fine. Then if there is some red mark, then there shall be some distribution problem in the RFC or in the RFC destinations, then we can fix that. Okay, this is the way to check the logs. You have different selection criteria. You can, based on the selection criteria, you can search the distribution log. Okay, this is a way to create a CUA. With this, we are coming to the end of this session. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.